Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be exploring some cutting-edge research in computational biology and bioinformatics.
Uh-huh.
And we've got a whole stack of articles straight from nature.com.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're talking everything from, predicting how drugs interact with the body
Yeah.
to the crazy world of, what lives on a peach.
Sounds fascinating.
Yeah, so get ready to have your mind blown.
It really is amazing how these fields are, combining biology and advanced computing to make these really groundbreaking discoveries.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's jump right in. First up, we've got this article
Okay.
with a very sci-fi sounding title.
Uh-huh.
It's called DTIM, a unified framework for predicting drug target interactions, binding affinities, and drug mechanisms.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Right. It sounds like something straight out of a movie?
It kind of is like sci-fi, but it's real, you know? Imagine being able to predict exactly how a drug is going to interact with your body.
Yeah.
Down to the molecular level. That's what this framework is trying to do.
That's incredible.
It uses machine learning, which is basically teaching computers to learn from huge amounts of data
Right.
to figure out the complex relationship between drugs and our bodies.
So this could potentially, revolutionize drug development, right?
Exactly.
Instead of the old trial and error method, we could design medications that are so much more effective
Yeah.
and have fewer side effects.
It's exactly. You got it.
Oh.
This kind of predictive modeling could really speed up the whole drug development process
Yeah.
and lead to more personalized medicine, which is super exciting.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So we're talking about treatments tailored to your specific genes and your illness.
Exactly.
Wow, that's pretty mind-blowing. Okay, well, let's shift gears a bit to something a little less optimistic.
Okay.
But equally important, we've got an article here on antibiotic resistance.
Right.
It's titled, Genetic Compatibility and Ecological Connectivity Drive the Dissemination of Antibiotic Resistance Genes. I got to admit, the whole antibiotic resistance thing kind of freaks me out.
Yeah, it's definitely a growing concern.
It is.
You know, the World Health Organization actually predicts that by 2050,
Oh, wow.
antibiotic-resistant infections could kill 10 million people a year.
10 million.
Yeah, that's more than cancer.
That's a staggering number.
It is, and this research really highlights why it's such a tough challenge to tackle.
So what makes it so challenging, though?
Well, it's not just about bacteria evolving resistance to antibiotics.
Right.
It's also about how easily those resistant genes can spread between different bacterial populations.
Oh, I see.
So think of it like a network where bacteria can share these resistance genes,
Okay.
even across species.
Wow.
The study found that this sharing is influenced by how genetically compatible they are and how connected their environments are.
So even if we, develop new antibiotics, resistance could still emerge and spread really quickly.
Yeah, it's like we're fighting a losing battle sometimes.
It kind of feels that way.
It really emphasizes the need for a multi-pronged approach.
Yeah.
You know, we need new drugs, absolutely.
Of course.
But we also need to focus on preventing the spread of resistance.
Right.
Think responsible antibiotic use in both humans and animals, better sanitation,
Yeah.
and carefully tracking those resistant strains.
It's a sobering thought for sure, but definitely something we need to be aware of. Okay, well, let's move on to something a little more maybe unexpected.
Okay.
This article is titled, Towards Enhanced Sargassum Monitoring in the Caribbean Sea.
Interesting.
Sargassum, is that like a sea monster or something?
Uh-huh. Not quite a monster, but it can be a bit of a nuisance.
Okay.
Sargassum is a type of seaweed that forms these huge floating mats in the ocean.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually really important for marine life.
Oh, okay.
It provides a habitat and helps with nutrient cycling.
So like an underwater forest kind of.
Exactly. But lately, we've been seeing these massive overgrowths of sargassum in the Caribbean.
Oh, no.
And it's causing some problems.
Yeah, I was going to say too much of a good thing can be a bad thing.
Exactly.
So what kind of problems are we talking about here?
Well, these blooms can smother coral reefs, disrupt fishing,
Oh.
and even impact tourism.
Owned.
And when they wash up on beaches and decompose, they release this awful smell.
Not exactly a paradise anymore.
Not really. So how do we deal with this seaweed overload?
Yeah.
Well, this article talks about advanced monitoring techniques.
What does that involve?
Scientists are using satellites, drones, and even AI to track sargassum,
Wow.
its growth and movement.
That's fascinating.
This data can help predict and manage these blooms,
Okay.
hopefully minimizing those negative impacts.
That's good to hear. Okay, get ready for this next one because it totally blew my mind.
Okay.
The title is Discovering the Dynamics of Peach Fruit Microbiome Throughout Fruit Development Season by High Throughput Sequencing.
Wow.
Microbiome. I didn't even know peaches had a microbiome.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
We often think about microbes like bacteria,
Right.
but fungi are a whole other world, and they're everywhere,
Yeah.
even on our peaches. Wow.
So the microbiome is basically the community of fungi living on and within an organism,
Okay.
and it can have a big impact on its health and development.
So you're telling me there's like a whole microscopic ecosystem living on a peach.
Exactly.
That's both incredible and a little unsettling.
Uh-huh. It's more incredible than unsettling, I promise.
Okay.
Just like our gut microbiome,
Right.
the microbiome of a peach can be either beneficial or harmful.
Oh, interesting.
These fungi can influence things like nutrient uptake,
Huh?
disease resistance,
Okay.
and even the flavor of the peach.
So it's not just about the peach itself.
Right.
It's about this invisible community living on it. That's wild.
Exactly. And that's where this high-throughput sequencing comes in.
Okay.
It's a powerful technology that lets scientists identify and quantify all the different fungal species in the peach's microbiome.
Wow.
By studying these communities throughout the peach's life,
Yeah.
they can figure out how these fungi affect its quality and health. So knowing all this about a peach's microbiome, what can we actually do with this information? Like, what can growers, or even us, the peach eaters, do with this?
Well, think about it. This research could lead to new ways to manage peach orchards.
Okay.
Maybe we can encourage the good fungi and discourage the bad ones.
I like it.
Imagine growers being able to cultivate peaches that are naturally more resistant to disease.
Yeah.
And bursting with flavor, all thanks to understanding their microbiome.
That's amazing. A total game changer.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be so fascinated by the microscopic world of a peach.
You neither.
You know, it's incredible how much is happening at that level that we just never even realize.
Yeah, it really is.
And speaking of uncovering hidden worlds, let's talk about how machine learning is revolutionizing healthcare.
Okay, sounds good.
We've got two articles here.
Okay.
One focused on analyzing heart cells and the other on understanding joint disease.
Fascinating.
Yeah, machine learning is proving to be such a versatile tool in biomedical research.
It really is.
It's allowing us to analyze these massive, complex data sets and find patterns that we just wouldn't be able to see otherwise.
Right.
So let's start with the heart cell research.
Sure.
This article is titled, A High-Performance Extracellular Field Potential Analyzer for iPSC-Derived Cardiomyocytes.
All right.
To be honest, I'm a little lost on the terminology here.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
What exactly are iPSC-derived cardiomyocytes?
Okay, let's break it down. iPSCs stand for Induced Pluripotent Stem Cells.
Okay.
Imagine taking an adult cell, like a skin cell, and rewinding it back in time, making it young and versatile again.
Okay.
That's essentially what scientists do with iPSCs.
Wow.
They create these blank slate cells that can be transformed into any other cell type in the body.
Really, any cell type?
Pretty much, including heart muscle cells, which are called cardiomyocytes.
So they're like stem cell superheroes.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
can become anything.
And that's why they're so valuable. For research scientists can basically create heart cells in the lab to study heart disease and develop new treatments.
That's incredible. But what about this extracellular field potential analyzer? What does that do?
Well, this device is like a high-tech stethoscope for your cells.
Oh, wow.
It measures the electrical activity of the heart cells, giving us valuable insights into how they're functioning.
Okay.
And when we combine that data with machine learning algorithms,
Yeah.
we can start to see subtle changes in those electrical signals that might point to disease or show us how a drug is affecting the heart.
So it's like having a window into the inner workings of the heart.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on to the other machine learning article.
Mm-hmm.
This one focuses on osteoarthritis.
All right.
And honestly, my knees are already starting to creak, so I'm all ears.
Haha, osteoarthritis is no joke.
It's not.
It's a degenerative joint disease that affects millions.
Yeah.
And this study used machine learning to sift through a ton of genetic data to pinpoint genes that are linked to its development.
Wow.
They were particularly interested in genes involved in a process called necroptosis.
Necroptosis. Yeah. Which is basically a form of programmed cell death.
Programmed cell death? That sounds a little intense.
It is,
Yeah.
but it's all about understanding what's happening at the cellular level.
Oh.
You know, by figuring out which genes are involved in osteoarthritis, researchers hope to develop better diagnostic tools,
Right.
more targeted therapies, and maybe even find ways to prevent it altogether.
So maybe one day we can say goodbye to creaky knees for good.
Hopefully.
The possibilities with machine learning seem endless. But before we get too carried away, let's dive into this next article.
Okay.
It's titled, Effectiveness of Machine Learning Methods in Detecting Grooming, a Systematic Meta-Analytic Review.
Mm-hmm.
And it tackles a pretty serious issue.
It does. It takes us into some darker territory, but it's really important to address.
Absolutely.
This study explores how machine learning can be used to identify online grooming,
Right.
a threat that sadly targets children and vulnerable individuals.
It's a stark reminder that technology can be a double-edged sword.
Even as we're celebrating all these incredible advancements, we need to be aware of the potential downsides
Definitely.
and make sure technology is being used responsibly.
Absolutely. With great power comes great responsibility.
Okay.
Exactly.
So what did they find out about using machine learning to detect grooming? Was it effective?
Well, the study found that machine learning algorithms can actually be quite effective at spotting those patterns of communication and behavior that are often associated with online grooming.
Oh, wow.
They looked at data from multiple studies
Okay.
and found that these algorithms can even outperform traditional methods of detection, like just searching for keywords.
So it's like having a digital detective on the case,
Exactly.
constantly analyzing and learning.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it's not a perfect solution. Are there any challenges or limitations with this approach?
Well, there are always challenges when it comes to technology.
Right.
One of the big ones here is that online communication is constantly evolving.
Yeah, that's true.
Think about it. Those who engage in grooming are always trying to find new ways to fly under the radar and avoid detection.
Right.
So the algorithms have to be constantly updated and refined to keep up.
That makes sense. It's like a never-ending game of cat and mouse.
Exactly. And of course, there's always the risk of false positives,
Oh, yeah.
where a harmless conversation might get flagged as potential grooming.
Right.
So finding that balance between effectiveness and accuracy is really important in this context.
It sounds like a very complex issue, but definitely one that needs to be addressed.
For sure.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of computational biology and bioinformatics,
Yeah.
what are some key takeaways you'd like our listener to walk away with?
Well, I think it's clear that these fields are really revolutionizing how we understand biology and medicine.
Absolutely.
We've seen how they're helping us predict drug interactions,
Mhm.
analyze how our cells work,
Right.
track seaweed, and even understand the secret life of peaches.
Yeah, and let's not forget about the potential for using these technologies to address some of the darker sides of our world, like online grooming.
Right?
It's been a whirlwind of information.
It has.
It really highlights the power of combining biology, technology, and data science.
For sure.
We're really just scratching the surface of what's possible.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what the future holds.
Me too.
So to leave our listener with something to ponder,
Okay.
what are your thoughts on how these fields will continue to shape our understanding of the world and ourselves?
That's a great question. I believe computational biology and bioinformatics will continue to blur the lines between those disciplines.
Yeah.
We'll likely see even more sophisticated applications of AI and machine learning, leading to major breakthroughs in areas like personalized medicine,
Right.
disease prevention, and even environmental sustainability.
It's mind-boggling to think about all the possibilities. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll even unlock the secrets of the peach microbiome to create the ultimate superfruit.
Haha. Now that's a research project I'd love to see.
Well, on that delicious note, we've reached the end of our deep dive for today.
Yeah.
We hope you found it as fascinating as we did.
I did.
If you're eager to learn more, be sure to check out the source material we've provided.
Definitely.
And until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and maybe take a closer look at your next peach.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's like we have this window into the heart's electrical activity.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so let's talk about that other machine learning article you mentioned,
Okay.
the one about osteoarthritis.
Right.
Honestly, my knees are already starting to make some weird noises.
Oh.
So I'm very interested in this one.
Well, osteoarthritis is a serious condition, you know. It
No, Rich.
affects millions of people. And this study used machine learning to analyze a huge amount of genetic data
Okay.
to try and identify the genes that are linked to osteoarthritis.
So they're looking for the genetic culprits behind those creaky joints.
Exactly. They were particularly interested in genes involved in this process called necroptosis.
Necroptosis, what is that?
It's basically a form of programmed cell death.
Programmed cell death. That sounds a little scary.
It does sound a bit intense, but it's a normal process in the body.
Okay.
It's all about understanding the underlying mechanisms of the disease.
Right.
By figuring out which genes are involved in osteoarthritis, researchers hope to develop better diagnostic tools,
Makes sense.
more targeted therapies, and maybe even find ways to prevent it altogether.
Wow. So maybe one day we can say goodbye to creaky knees for good.
I hope so.
That'd be amazing. Okay, well, let's move on to something a little different now.
Okay.
This next article is titled Effectiveness of Machine Learning Methods in Detecting Grooming. A systematic meta-analytic review.
Hmm.
It's a pretty heavy topic.
It is. It's definitely taking us into a more serious area, but it's something that's really important to talk about.
You're right.
This study looks at how machine learning can be used to identify online grooming.
Right, which is a threat to so many children and vulnerable people online.
Exactly. It's a reminder that technology has its downsides, too.
It does, even with all the incredible advancements. We need to be aware of those potential risks
Absolutely.
and ensure that technology is being used responsibly.
With great power comes great responsibility, as they say.
Yeah, they do. So what did this research find out about using machine learning to detect grooming? Was it effective?
Well, the study actually found that machine learning algorithms can be pretty good at spotting those patterns of communication and behavior that are often linked with online grooming.
Oh, wow. So it can actually identify those red flags.
Yeah, they analyzed data from several studies and found that these algorithms can even do better than traditional methods of detection,
Okay.
like just searching for keywords.
So it's like having a digital detective on the case, constantly analyzing and learning.
Right, constantly learning and adapting, but it's not a foolproof solution.
Right. I was going to say, there must be some challenges.
One of the biggest challenges is that online communication is constantly evolving.
Yeah, of course, language changes. People find new ways to communicate.
Exactly. And those who engage in grooming are always trying to find new ways to stay under the radar.
To avoid detection.
Exactly. So the algorithms have to be constantly updated and improved to keep up.
So it's like an ongoing arms race.
It really is. And then there's always the risk of false positives, too.
Right, where a harmless conversation might get flagged.
Exactly. It's all about finding that balance between effectiveness and accuracy.
It sounds like a really challenging task.
It is, but a very important one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, exploring all these different facets of computational biology and bioinformatics.
We have.
As we start to wrap up this deep dive, what are some key things you want our listeners to take away from all of this?
Well, I think one of the biggest takeaways is that these fields are having a huge impact on how we understand biology and medicine.
Definitely.
We've seen how they're helping us predict drug interactions, analyze cells,
Right.
track seaweed.
And even decode the secrets of peaches.
Exactly. It's incredible how much we can learn by combining biology, technology, and data science.
And, of course, let's not forget the potential to address some of the darker sides of technology, like online grooming.
Right. That's crucial, too.
We've really just begun to explore what's possible.
We have, and that's what's so exciting.
So to leave our listeners with a final thought,
Okay.
how do you think these fields will continue to shape our understanding of the world and ourselves in the future?
That's a great question. I think computational biology and bioinformatics will continue to blur the lines between different disciplines even more.
Okay.
We'll probably see even more advanced applications of artificial intelligence and machine learning,
Makes sense.
leading to breakthroughs in areas like personalized medicine, disease prevention, and even environmental sustainability.
Wow, the possibilities seem endless. It's pretty amazing.
It really is.
Yeah.
Who knows, maybe we'll even unlock the secrets of the peach microbiome and create the ultimate super peach.
Uh-huh. Now that's a future. I'd like to see. Okay. Well, on that note, we've come to the end of our deep dive today.
Yeah, it's been fun.
It has been. We hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
And if you're hungry to learn more, be sure to check out the source material.
Yeah.
And until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and maybe take a closer look at your next peach.
Sounds good. It's like we're getting a glimpse into the electrical language of the heart.
That's a cool way to put it.
I agree.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about that other machine learning article, the one on osteoarthritis.
Right, that one?
Honestly, I'm already starting to feel my age. My knees are getting a little creaky.
Oh, no. Well, osteoarthritis is a really common problem, you know.
That is?
Millions of people are affected, and this study used machine learning to sort through a huge amount of genetic data,
Oh, wow.
trying to zero in on the genes that are connected to osteoarthritis.
So they're like searching for the genetic culprits behind those aches and pains?
Yeah, basically. And they were really interested in genes involved in this process called necroptosis.
Necroptosis. I've never heard of that.
It's kind of a mouthful, right?
Yeah.
But it's basically a type of programmed cell death.
Programmed cell death. That sounds a bit intense.
I know it sounds dramatic, but it's actually a normal process in the body.
Oh, okay.
It's all about getting a better understanding of what's happening at the cellular level.
Right. So by figuring out which genes are involved in this, they can hopefully develop better treatment.
Exactly. They're hoping to create better diagnostic tools, more targeted therapies, and maybe even ways to prevent it altogether.
So maybe one day we can all say goodbye to those creaky joints.
We can hope, right?
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. All right, well, let's switch gears again and talk about this next article.
Okay, sounds good.
It's called Effectiveness of Machine Learning Methods in Detecting Grooming, a systematic meta-analytic review.
Yeah, that one.
It's a bit of a heavier topic.
It is. It's definitely a serious issue, but a really important one to discuss. Online grooming is a threat to so many children and vulnerable individuals.
It's a reminder that technology isn't always used for good.
Right. There's a dark side to everything.
And with all these advancements, it's important to be aware of the risks and make sure that technology is being used responsibly.
Absolutely. With great power comes great responsibility, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So did this research find that machine learning could be effective in detecting grooming?
Well, what they found was that these algorithms can actually be pretty good at spotting those patterns of communication and behavior that are often associated with online grooming.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, they looked at a bunch of different studies and found that these algorithms can sometimes even do a better job than the traditional methods, like just searching for keywords.
Wow, so it's like having a digital detective working behind the scenes.
Right, always analyzing and learning, but I'm sure there are still challenges.
Yeah, I was just thinking that online communication changes so rapidly. New slang, new platforms.
Exactly, and those who engage in grooming are always finding new ways to avoid detection, so it's an ongoing challenge to stay ahead of them.
It's like a constant cat and mouse game.
It is, and then there's always the risk of false positives, too, where a harmless conversation might get flagged.
Right, that's a concern for sure.
Yeah, it's about finding that balance between being effective and being accurate.
For sure. Well, we've covered so much ground today, exploring all these different areas of computational biology and bioinformatics.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways you hope our listeners will walk away with?
Well, I think it's clear that these fields are having a huge impact on how we understand and approach biology and medicine. We've seen how they can help us predict drug interactions, analyze cells, even track seaweed, and decode the secrets of a peach.
And let's not forget the potential for using these technologies to address serious issues like online grooming.
Absolutely. It's a powerful reminder that these advancements can be used for good, but we need to be thoughtful and responsible in how we develop and use them.
Couldn't agree more. It's exciting to think about all the possibilities, but also important to be mindful of the potential downsides. Well, this has been an incredible conversation. So much food for thought.
It has.
And I always like to leave our listeners with something to ponder as they go about their day. So what final thoughts do you have for them about how these fields might continue to shape our understanding of the world and even ourselves in the years to come?
That's a big question, but I think we can expect to see even more blurring of the lines between biology, technology, and data science. I
Okay.
think we're going to see more and more sophisticated applications of AI and machine learning, leading to breakthroughs in personalized medicine, disease prevention, and even environmental sustainability.
It's pretty mind-blowing to think about all the possibilities.
It is, who knows, maybe we'll even unlock the secrets of that peach microbiome and create the ultimate super peach.
Haha, I love it. Well, on that delicious note, we've come to the end of our deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
It has. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your expertise.
Of course, thanks for having me.
And to all our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. We hope you found this exploration as fascinating as we did.
Me too.
If you want to dive deeper into any of the topics we discussed today, be sure to check out the source material we've linked in the show notes.
Definitely.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and maybe take a closer look at your next peach.
Sounds like a plan.